Anyway, welcome to my channel, and hope y'all enjoy my content here. I go into a pretty high level of detail when I analyze things, but use the timestamps. I'm going to talk a lot about the weather in the western U.S., but also talk about the potential for severe weather and analyze the future pattern here, what may lead to that this weekend somewhere in the south here, and heavy rainfall potential as well. And like I said, I utilize the timestamps, and like my video if you like it, subscribe, share with your friends, tell your folks. That's the only way I get by getting subscriptions and likes and all that. I appreciate that. That helps my channel grow. Anyway, let's get started with the current hazards. As far as current hazards this morning, not a lot to talk about. We have some dense fog advisories in the southern part of the country here, Louisiana, Mississippi, parts of western Georgia. I don't know why it's not showing that here, but um, let's see, special weather statement for dense fog here. So we have some stagnant air down to the south here and lingering moisture, right? Looks like with air quality problem up here in the Harrisburg area and Pittsburgh as well, with stagnant air and wind and weather advisory for potential snow and ice, a couple inches possible today and tonight, this evening mostly. And looks like this is going to expire. Winter weather advisory up here is going to expire in a little while here, and marine special weather statements, and some ice jam related flooding here in Nebraska, Oklahoma wind advisory for high winds today, and out west we got the beginnings of the moisture coming out and some snow here. Winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories in the higher terrain of Sierra Nevada here, parts of Utah, Salt Lake City, parts of Wyoming here, which I don't think they've had much snow this year, and Montana as well, when their weather advisories, right? And some high wind warnings in the Las Vegas area, Eureka, Ellie, wind advisories, right? And along the west coast of the U.S. here, southwest coast, Los Angeles area, just to the north of Los Angeles, Santa Barbara, Hollister, Salinas, and Point South here, just to the north of Los Angeles. So the beginnings of a pattern change, and thankfully the east is going to warm up some. So we got some fog problems here this morning here in mostly western Georgia, possibility of far southern Georgia, not far southern, but south central Georgia, maybe middle Georgia up towards Atlanta. So visibilities could be below half a mile today. This morning as you travel to work, so be careful out there. Rain chances return tomorrow. This is for the Atlanta area, right, across north and central Georgia. The increase the pretty high percentage here, chance of rainfall on Wednesday, today into Wednesday, then increasing through the weekend. And at least right now, severe weather risk for the weekend is low at this time. Widespread rainfall and gusty winds are expected. Today, highs in the upper 60s to low 70s with partly cloudy skies. Tonight, excuse me, low temperatures in the low 50s to upper 50s in the far southern part of the state, with precip chances highest to the north and lowest to the south here. Rain showers. And tomorrow, highs in the upper 50s far to the north and mid 70s farther to the south with less cloud cover here. But overall, kind of an unsettled day for weather, especially the highest precip chances are far in northwestern Georgia here in the darker green. So as your 15-day temperature outlook for middle Georgia, generally in the 70s, 60s throughout the period for highs. Lows towards the end of the week are going to be not below freezing, but a little bit below normal. But otherwise, highs, lows in the 40s and 50s throughout the period. So quite a nice change from what it has been. So enjoy it while it lasts. I'm sure we'll get another shot of colder air, but at least what it looks like right now is that we're going to have mild weather for the foreseeable future. Uh, you never know, but at least right now, that's what it's looking like. So enjoy. As far as day to 3 to 7 hazards, the 12th through the 16th here, expecting heavy rainfall in around the 14th in this area. They expanded this area from yesterday with that Valentine's Day system moving through here. So some pretty good certainty of heavy rain in this area. Of course, we'll refine the forecast as we get closer, but that's this weekend. So that's 4 days from now. So that's Saturday here. So let's keep that in mind as if we travel. So this was issued by the Climate Prediction Center yesterday, expecting a major pattern change for around the West Coast here, with an increased risk of hazardous weather over much of the western half of the U.S. with high winds. We've talked about that. We'll be talking about it. Heavy snow, heavy rainfall as well. Um, so and high winds as well. If I didn't already say that, I may already have. Sorry. Here's the precip risk, and here's 8 to 14 day precip outlook. So um, you can see here, this is good news for the Sierra Nevada and Cascades and points to the south here, because they're way below normal for snowpack. So even though it's going to kind of stink and ruin your day maybe when you're trying to do something outside, really could use the precip out here. So this is good news. As far as day 8 to 14 hazards, we know we have increasing chance of precip along the west coast, but here's the highest risk here in parts of Southern California, coastline into Central California on the 17th. Moderate risk the 17th and 18th, encompassing a little larger area here, and the 17th to 23rd, encompassing most of the western U.S. here, generally along and just to the east of the Cascades and Sierra Nevada, all the way down into parts of Arizona. Quite a bit of snowfall expected here in the 8 to 14 day period, with a high risk here in the Sierra Nevada range, the 17th through 18th. Moderate risk surrounding it, the 17th through 19th, further to the north here, and moderate risk here in parts of Arizona and Nevada as well, and Utah, right, the 17th through the 18th. In these other areas, slight risk the 17th through 20th in the northern tier of the U.S. and parts of the Midwest, and this other area in the Intermountain West. Kind of confusing the way this is drawn, but the 17th through the 20th as well. Moderate risk of high winds also here in the Intermountain West, east of the Rockies, generally the southwestern portion of the U.S. into the Intermountain West and the Front Range of the Rockies, really, and parts of the central U.S. as well, and a larger area surrounding it, the 17th to the 19th, which encompasses most of the western part of the U.S., impinging on the central U.S. here, all the way out to the west coast. Hazardous temperatures during this period. The only risk of hazardous temperatures here is the 20th through the 23rd and the 17th through the 23rd in the southern part of Alaska here. As far as the little bit longer range, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, so, we know that the trough is building out west here with cooler than average temperatures out west and above average temperatures, most likely in the center part of the country and along the east coast as well. So it'll be still maybe chilly, but not nearly as cold as it has been, which is good news for the eastern U.S. We need a break here, right? Alaska near normal to slightly to below, more certainty to the southeast here, and near normal to above in the far southwestern portion of the state. Aleutian Island chains above, and the Hawaiian Islands chain. Yeah, I can't speak today. Above, looking like above normal here. So for most of the nation, for the 6 to 10 day period here, we're expecting above normal chances of precip, with the exception of the far southern U.S. here in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Louisiana here, and parts of Alabama. Otherwise near normal in that gray area. Above normal chances to near normal to below, depending where you are in Alaska. Above normal precip chances in the Aleutian Island chain, and above normal in Hawaii. So when we go 8 to 14 days out, the 17th to the 23rd, we're expecting the temperatures to remain above normal for a good portion of the country east of the Rockies, with the exception of the far eastern seaboard here, mid-Atlantic. Points west, either near normal or below, excuse me. With below normal, trend of below normal, good certainty here in southeast Alaska. Above and below normal depending on where you're at in the Aleutian Island chain, and above normal in Hawaii. As far as precip goes, we still got this swath of below normal precip chances in the far southern U.S. to near normal in between that, but the rest of the country trending above, especially along the west coast, with the most certainty here. Near normal to below normal precip chances in Alaska, above to near normal to below in Aleutian Island chain, depending where you're at there, and above in Hawaiian Islands, with more certainty to the west than to the east here. So what does the surface analysis show here? When we get towards our time frame of interest here, right? You got this low developing here as that trough swings through, right? And we talked about that with the 500 millibar analysis. You got a high pressure trying to hang on out here to the east. All right. This is the European model. Okay. Low really cranks up here, right? And it moves generally to the east, not that strong. Okay. 1002 moves pretty much to the east. You see energy starting to transfer offshore here, which is not an unlikely scenario, but all rain. Okay. And you have a trough digging up here to the north as well, right? And they don't phase until it gets way offshore. So with this scenario, pretty far to the south, pretty suppressed here. Out west, you got the low coming onshore, which we've been talking about. Heavy snow in the Cascade, the Sierra Nevada range, all the way down to Southern California, and maybe some severe weather here too as well, far to the south. We'll have to see that energy transfer off the East Coast. Just overall unsettled weather along the west coast continues here, and then you're developing another low pressure here far to the north. It swings through, but is suppressed by the high, and you see this here, kind of an interesting evolution of this. Disturbance travels along this boundary and swings to the south, and then another system. This is the 20th, so 10 days from now, pretty intense low here, pretty far inland, so potentially more severe weather further to the north here. And we'll look at the dew points and things like that, but pretty strong ejection of the trough here. Then maybe returning some cold air to the east, but not near, I don't think it's going to be nearly as cold as it has been. So, and generally a west-east flow at this point. So I'm going to go through this here. This is the European model, and I wanted to talk about something here. So this is your 500 millibar flow, right? And I wanted to show you our feature of interest for this weekend, right? We got this low 500 millibar trough swinging through the west, right? You have this low center off here, a short wave moving through the flow here, right? Let's see if I can move this through time here. Make sure I have the right run. All right, so see that swinging through right there? And the trough digs right here in the south, right? And this is the 14th, okay? That moves through. Not really that strong, but it's more of a neutral tilt than maybe positive. Maybe neutral tilt here. So with the European model, this is the evolution up to the 15th, right? Likely heavy rainfall as a result of this with the lift and moisture off the Gulf Coast, okay? Off the Gulf of Mexico, excuse me. And another thing we're looking at too is what's coming through the northerly flow, okay? And watch what happens here. This trough digs and kind of de-amplifies, right? Comes off the coast. Energy transfers up to the north here, interacts with this trough, and then you get a developing low out to sea with less impacts along the eastern seaboard, okay? Deep trough digging out west here, right? And, okay, so then you have heights rising to the west of it, east of it, excuse me, and maybe some mid-level flow impinging on the northeast U.S. with that low moving up to the north. And you can see the moisture, not the moisture, but where the flow is here along the west coast, bringing moisture in there, right? And this is getting further out, 19th. So, and you see this mid-level feature swinging out. The trough crashes through the Rockies, and then swings to the middle part of the U.S. and maybe brings a potent system in the middle part of the U.S. Around the end of this model run. So this means to the north, likely rain wherever to the right of this. And then you'll have more of a zonal flow after this with maybe a trough. It's signaling a trough here to the west, still troughing this out west, or reaching in the middle part of the country, but not as deep of a trough here. This trough is really swinging way out. Looks like it brings some moisture in this way, right? Like that. But so that's the evolution with that. So I wanted to show you all that because if we go back to the beginning of this, like this is well, that's the 10th here. Let's just look about now. There's your trough there. There's your mid-level feature that dampens out initially, brings some showers maybe to the middle of the week here tomorrow to the southeast, and then our system of interest here. So let's go back to where it is now. You trough here and trough here. So these features aren't even impacting the U.S. right now. So why I'm saying that is because once it gets over some areas where we can sample the atmosphere better, we're ahead of the feature, and it gets closer, I think we'll be better suited to talk about um, like detailed impacts. But it's looking like models are leaning more on a possible solution here with maybe a further southern track of a low pressure, potentially severe weather, but snowfall is not looking as likely, at least right now. And I'll review that with the surface analysis of this model as well. So it's a GFS show. This is the 00Z run, 7 a.m. Eastern time starting, right? Which is tomorrow. Some showers in the southeast, right? Maybe some rain. Let me stop this for a second. I have to switch it to rain and frozen here. Some snow maybe up into the northeast here tomorrow, but it looks like it might be rain or rain-snow mix here right along the mid-Atlantic, right? Doesn't look like a highly impactful event, except for maybe in the Boston area. It could be. We got some heavier snow maybe moving through there as the system moves offshore, a clipper type system, right? Moisture in the south. Then we get to our time frame of interest. Low pressure develops here in the southern plains, moves to the east, and you have a line of storms here developing along to the east of it. Will be severe, hard to say at this point, but the potential's there, right? Depending how far north the moisture gets. And you see the GFS now is bringing redeveloping a low off the coast here, similar to the European, right? And a trough digging to the east of the northeast coast here, and this moisture to the south kind of being sheared apart, and that low diving to the south and out of the way, right? That mid-level feature. So a little bit further out, see that system crashing on shore out west here. Wants to develop a really strong low pressure around the same time as the European does, and moves it to the north here, way to the north. Then you have maybe an Arctic boundary sitting up here. Wow, it's very strong, 2 weeks from now with the Arctic boundary pushing down. You see, this is a very different solution than the European offers, but be interesting to see if this plays out. But looks like a push of cold air again, at least according to this model. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this as we get towards the end of the month. So what's driving our sensible weather for the West Coast and the rest of the country here? Well, up north we have this system moving through, which could bring the snowfall and rain to the East Coast, right, around the 11th. And you have a disturbance moving through the flow here that's going to interact with some moisture and give us some showers here, but not a lot to talk about with that. Boundary remains up to the north here. You have your low digging out west here. Maybe another mid-level feature associated with this to the north. Takes on a neutral tilt right here, more or less, okay? Moves to the north some. mid-level feature is still part of the flow, and you have another mid-level feature up here, and this system deep trough out west, a long wave trough even through. This feature digs even further south, at least according to GFS, and then closes off, right? And then goes to the south. It's been showing this for quite some time, which is kind of a weird scenario. It closes off and moves it to the south, which I don't see any other models doing, but doesn't really show the energy transfer like the European does. So it'd be interesting to see if this plays out or not. I don't think this is likely to play out this way, but it's been showing it for a few days now. But with the GFS is known to overdo vorticity. So I guess we'll have to see, but be interesting to see how this plays out. Let's look at the precip moisture again. Yeah, kind of a weird setup here. It does redevelop a low offshore here, but it doesn't look like the mid-level energy really goes anywhere. So anyway, that's the analysis of the GFS. So what's the URAM model show? I switched to a different way to look at this because this shows frozen precip here. Got this storm moving through the northeast in the short term here, a low off the west coast. May bring in some moisture, enhanced moisture in the Rockies here. You have your low developing along the in the Texas area, right? And wherever it develops is important, right? But most of the models are showing pretty far south development with this. This is a little bit further south, but then you see some maybe redevelopment offshore here, and see it moves to the north eventually, but doesn't bring maybe many sensitive impacts to the northeast. And you have the system crashing along the west coast here as well, which arguably is the highest impacts, right? At least for the west. But we need the weather out here, right? We need the snow, we need the rain. So even though it's impactful, it's going to be worth it, right? Maybe a cutting low and a boundary setting up here. You see that there? And then you get to the end of the period, it becomes more uncertain, but the west coast remains pretty active through the end of the period here. When we look at the 500 millibar flow associated with the European AI model, here's our first wave of interest here. 500 millibar flow. Your surface low is developing here. Wants to make it a little bit stronger here as it traverses the south, but then it dampens out, right? And energy maybe shifts northward with this. Then you have your main trough swinging through the west coast, with maybe another trough swinging up to the northeast. And you have this boundary setting up here. As you get further out, becomes more uncertain, but staying unsettled on the west coast here. So what's the AIGFS show with this system potentially moving through the south in the coming days? Got the trough swinging through. Doesn't close it off really. At least maybe right here it tries to, but you see it's still part of the flow in general, right? And then you trough out west here, and it de-amplifies it, right? And maybe swings it to the north, but it doesn't offer the same solution as the GFS with this trough, okay? And the two features here don't really end up merging with each other, okay, till way out there. Then you have your trough on the west coast, of course. It's going to bring the moisture out there. And then we get further out. Looks like a trough swinging through, which could bring that system to the central U.S. here. So here's a surface analysis of the IGFS. System moving to the northeast here. Some showers in the south here with this boundary pushing down, but not too many sensible impacts. Moisture way to the south here. 500 millibar low spins up a low pressure here. Louisiana, Arkansas. 998 millibar low, and you have moisture streaming onshore here out west. Moves to the east. Maybe some frozen precip right on the northern edge of this, but not a lot of northerly push here, right? Moves offshore. you can see wherever wherever this system moves, we're going to have heavy rainfall potential here, okay, at the very least, and maybe severe weather as well, like I talked about. So it looks like the solutions are converging more on a southerly path here, and not as much of a cutting system to the north, at least right now. So that's good news, I guess. I don't know if it's good news or not, but that's what I'm looking at here. So here's the comparison. I showed this yesterday, the 500 millibar height comparison between the GFS and European. And to start with, this is on the 13th, right? So you got your trough out west here. They generally agree on the placement of it, but there's differences in the heights already. You can see between the different features here. The European is a little bit deeper with the trough here than the GFS is. Different positions here, right? All right, and we move this through a little bit more. You can see the GFS has a closed low, where the European doesn't, and the European has this low pressure further to the south here, a deeper trough, whereas the GFS doesn't either. Okay, move through time a little bit more. See how differences evolve here. The Euro has a more of a trough here than the GFS does in the northern part of the stream here. Okay, and this GFS still has like a closed system out to the south here. And see what happens here. It drops this closed low to the south, and the GFS really doesn't do what the European does. You see how it develops a 500 millibar low right offshore here, a mid-level low, the energy transfer, right? The GFS doesn't do that, at least initially, right? It drops the energy to the south and to the west, which I feel like is an unlikely scenario. Okay, I just I don't know. The GFS seems to be an outlier with this. So, um, so let's run through a couple more comparisons here. So this is the AI GFS versus the GFS, right? We already have some disagreement here. The AI GFS have this mid-level feature for the south. GFS way difference here, a big difference with these features. Not as much difference in the southern stream, right? So this could potentially make a big difference here. Although solutions kind of converge a little bit, the AIGFS has a trough developing off the eastern seaboard, where the GFS drops that feature to the south. And then it looks like you see the difference here. Closed low on the GFS, more of a trough developing. Maybe the GFS wants to redevelop something offshore here, excuse me, but never really, excuse me, develops, takes the energy here. Sorry for the clearing of my throat, guys. All right, so you have the GFS down here, the AI GFS to the east here. So I don't know, GFS I think is off its rocker. So let's look at the ensembles real quick. Compare the Euro ensemble and the GFS ensemble. The 500 millibar anomaly heights. You see the the European, excuse me, has generally a trough here, right? Okay, we know that. Ridge to the west and trough further west, right? The trough swings up to the north here, the heights do, right? Compare this to the GFS. This is a 6Z run. Let's go back to 0Z. All right, 10th. Generally agree, but a deeper trough here, okay? With the GFS ensemble. You'd see it just does away with it, really. It just kind of gets absorbed in the flow almost, right? Kind of a weird evolution here. So how does that look as far as sensible weather goes? Let's go back to the precip moisture, lower dynamics. on symbol member MSLP. So this shows low positions with this system, right? So this is the 15th, going back a little bit, GFS, low positions, kind of all over the place when we get further out, right? We get back to here, some agreement here. There's 30 members, right? But it's all over the place, even here. So the system still has a lot of work to do as far as final low locations, right? So quite a bit of spread between here and here, okay? Now we switch to the EPS 00Z about the same time. Definitely more certainty among the members. There's 50 of them, right? So most of them want to bring the low further to the south, although there's a some, but these I think are outliers further north and east and to the west here. But much better agreement. The low doesn't really develop till the 15th, all right? And then the northern solution, I just don't see it. But you got this energy transfer, right? And then you have quite a bit of spread in the ensembles, so still something to work out there as well. As far as week 3 to 4, we talked about this past couple days. This was issued 3 days ago. Return to above normal temperatures in the southern U.S. here. Equal chances in between, and below normal chances a sliver of the northern tier of the U.S. Below normal in Alaska, above in Hawaii, and a below normal on Aleutian Island chain. As far as precip during this period, which is the 21st to the 6th of March, above normal precip chances here out west. In the Ohio Valley, Mississippi Valley here, we have this above normal precip chances as well. In the desert southwest, below normal. And like I said, everywhere else in the nation, equal chances above or below right now. Now in Alaska, equal to below. As far as southern Alaska for precip, above in Hawaii, and equal chances in the Aleutian Island chain. So I appreciate y'all watching today. I hope you got something out of what I talked about. Um, anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. There's coming more clarity about the potential track of the system further to the south here. And once we get a little bit closer, we'll be able to talk better about potential for severe weather here. Once we get more certainty in the evolution of the system, for sure, right? In the actual moisture return, things like that. So, but I really believe, at least with trends right now, that the northeast impacts with this system are not going to be as great as they were depicting a few days ago. So, mid-Atlantic and northeast likely won't be impacted as much as areas in the south, potentially with heavy rain with this. So, hope you have a great day and God bless.